Hello my loves, and welcome back to the Fluffenhammer Adjacent, a really off-the-cuff video this morning. As those of you who are in the know, today, currently, at the time of recording, it is the big Nova Open event, where there are various reveals for miniature games and RPGs, and significantly Warhammer 40,000 and Warhammer Age of Sigmar and all of Games Workshop's products. And I woke up this morning to a particular image which initially caused elation, absolute elation. Those of you who've been following the Fluffenhammer know, since the Fluffenhammer's inception, we've been clamouring after talking about the possibility of an Emperor's Children release for Warhammer 40,000, the cult legion dedicated to Slaanesh, and specifically a release of the Daemon Primarch Fulgrim, which is the obvious thing to do. Now that we have the other three Daemon Primarchs for the other cult legions out there. When I woke up this morning, there was an image floating around of a reveal from Nova Open, which was the Daemon Fulgrim, and it's a stunning miniature. It's an absolutely stunning miniature. Excitement was very, very high, but then we read the article, and we realised that A, it's in resin. There's no way the vast majority of people are not going to buy that miniature if it's in resin. I'm really sorry. People don't like resin. It's not very well sculpted. I mean, it's beautifully sculpted, but the casting of resin is often bad, and it's brittle, and it's weak, and it breaks, and it often has all these flaws. So that's one thing. There's not an equivalent plastic release, which is a bad move, by the way, Games Workshop. Since we've been doing the Fluffenhammer, there've been when we do the fluffies at the end of the year, where we look back across the year of what Games Workshop have done, what they've released, we do this little segment where we do the year's biggest bishes, and this may be it. If there's nothing else this significant, unless there's something catastrophic coming down the line, this may be it. This may be the top of the charts when we come to do it this year. No plastic miniature or equivalent of this is a mistake. People are not going to buy it in resin. It's going to be more expensive, it's going to be smaller, and also it's only for Horus Heresy. This is a misstep. This is a huge error, Games Workshop. If they were going to do this, if they were going to release a Daemon Primarch Fulgrim, it should have been considered and for cross purposes. It should have been for both game systems. The same is true of the other Daemon Primarchs. They should be for both game systems at this point. None of them ascended after the fact. They all ascended during the heresy. So really, they should be for both game systems. In fact, Fulgrim was the first to ascend to his Daemon Primarch status. What this has done, and you can see this if you go and look, even now, it's early days, it's only just been released, but if you go and look at the various forums and the Facebook groups and the channels on Twitter and various social media, you will find people in uproar. And okay, that's not unusual for Warhammer. There does tend to be this hyperbolic element, which is why we set up the Fluffenhammer in the first place. We wanted a more positive space. But this is a genuine error. This is a real mistake. What's going to happen is what happened to me. People will wake up this morning, they'll see the image floating around, and they'll be absolutely enraptured. They will be so excited. They will think that there's an Emperor's Children release coming for 40k, 10th ed, somewhere down the line. And then they'll read the article and realise that it is exclusively for Horus Heresy, explicitly so, and then they'll extrapolate and they'll realise that this means there is going to be no 40k Fulgrim equivalent for a long time, therefore no Emperor's Children release for a long, long time, and they're going to be pissed, they're going to be really upset, and this time, I think rightly so. This, given how connected Games Workshop are to the internet communities and fan communities, and how much they must know, the Emperor's Children and Fulgrim have been clamoured for ever since Magnus was announced, and the Thousand Sons way back in 7th. Just how popular, and what a good step that would have been for this Nova Open and for the beginning of 10th to just set up that somewhere, even if it was months away, to set up that somewhere down the line in 10th ed we were getting Fulgrim and the Emperor's Children. That would have caused such a positive clamour around 10th ed. It would have been such a good business move. Unfortunately, I think this is going to go down as one of the year's big clangers. I think they're going to be eating crow about this for a long time. It's not the end of the world, you know, it's not like, I mean, the biggest one up until this point, I would say, is probably Cursed City, which we've discussed over on the Fluffenhammer, and that there were lots of reasons for that, COVID not least of which, Brexit, but also some problems on Games Workshop side as well. There's not really an excuse for. This is a tone deaf release, ironically, given, like, you know, the Noise Marine association with Slaanesh and whatnot. This is a tone deaf release. It's people are not going to buy it. People are going to be upset and not buy it out of protest, even though that was Rufus, by the way, my cat. Even though it's a really good miniature, I'm not going to buy it if it's resin. The miniature is gorgeous. There is nothing wrong with the miniature at all. It's everything you could possibly want from a Demon Fulgrim. It's really beautiful, but I'm not going to buy it. He's one of my favourite Primarchs. He is like up there with Magnus for me, but I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy a resin miniature that big and that flimsy and probably that expensive. I'm really sorry. And if it's not for use in 40k, then what's the point, you know? If it's not going to be with an Emperor's Children army, then really, what's the point? It's a nice release for Horus Heresy, don't get me wrong, and it fits in the Horus Heresy, but it's a misstep, this. I mean, the Horus Heresy is one of the niche games. It's fine, it's okay, you know, but it's not. It just doesn't have the audience that 40k has, and this is just not going to cause this. I don't know whether they're thinking, oh well, we'll release Fulgrim here, and that will cause attention to slide over to the Horus Heresy. It won't. It won't. People want the Emperor's Children release for 40k. That's what they've been clamouring for the last almost decade, quite frankly. And certainly since Angron's release, this is what people want. And the way it's been announced and released, it's a misstep. It's a huge blunder. And I'm imagining, given the reaction that's going to be happening today, there are probably going to be people in the Games Workshop marketing team who are sort of like running back and forth like headless chickens, trying to find a workaround or put it right or something. Let's see, eh?